What's up? It's Strong Beverly, a founder here on Sports Unfolded. While you're here, make sure to go ahead and do us a great favor and subscribe. Welcome to Strong Opinions. It's Strong Beverly here, and boy, oh boy, when you thought things couldn't get any crazier in the NFL world, they have. So we've got to talk a lot. Deshaun Watson to Cleveland, Davante Adams to the Raiders. A lot of stuff is broken even today. I mean, there's just so much stuff going on in free agency. Von Miller to the Bills. So what I'm going to do to start off, I'm going to go over the 6 free agency moves, not trades. We'll get to those in a minute. Free agency moves that I thought were the biggest impact in the NFL, and I'm going to give them a grade. All right, so the first one we have, this one happened last week. It was Von Miller to the Buffalo Bills. 6 years, $120 million. I give this one a C, and here's why. Von Miller is 32, and his play has substantially been decreasing over the past 3 seasons, and that's not even taking injuries into account. He's a more injury-prone player. He's not as productive of a player that he once was. That's because he's 32 years of age. So you give him a 6-year deal, $20 million contract, $20 million a year contract. And if you gave him like 2 years, $40 million, or even 3 years, $60 million, I wouldn't be as objective. I'd still be somewhat objective, but 6 years, and this is voidable. After year 3, they can get rid of this and only take about $6 million per year in dead cap, which isn't terrible. But this just still isn't a deal I would make. I wanted the Cowboys, as a Cowboys fan, to get Von Miller, and then I saw the Bills sign him for this deal, and I'm like, boy, oh boy, if this was the asking price for Von Miller, I'm glad we didn't sign him. I mean, as much as it sucks to have a quiet offseason for my Cowboys, I'm not giving Von Miller this kind of money. No. At this age, at 32, at the end of the contract, he'll be 38. He'll probably be retired by then, so it'll be completely voidable. But still, that $20 million per year, I don't like that at all. I gave it a C. J.C. Jackson, the standout corner, goes to the Chargers. 5 years, $82.5 million. I gave this one an A minus. This isn't. He performed like a top 3 corner last year, and he did demand a lot of money. But sometimes when these players that have outstanding seasons, but it's like a one-time thing. Even though in 2020 he did have a pretty solid year. 2021 was his true breakout year this past season. Players try to get greedy. If they hit the market the year after their breakout, they like to think they are a true, that they can be paid higher than any other player at their position. And sometimes that can cost teams in free agency that sign them, because then they'll just have a good year, get the bag, and then their play will decrease. But J.C. Jackson, $17.5 million. That's nowhere close to a guy like Jalen Ramsey. Jair Alexander is rumored to get a lot more money than J.C. Jackson is. Look for him to get signed soon. But $17.5 million per year. I believe that is $82.5 million 5 years. That's a solid. I give it A minus. It's not too big of a risk for the Chargers. They're a team that had a ton of cap space, and they still have about $30 million. Their roster is really loaded up heading into next season. The AFC West is insane, and the Chargers finally have a corner that can cover true number 1 receivers. That's what they lacked a lot last year. That's why their defense could not get off the field on third downs. Staying in the AFC West, Chandler Jones to the Raiders, 3 years, $51 million. That's $17 million a year. Don't hate it as much as the Von Miller move, but I gave this one a B minus. Again, he's been injured on and off for the past few seasons. He had 5 sacks against the Titans last year in Week 1, and then after that, he had 5 sacks in the last 16 games. This is a move that I'm not too big of a fan of. 3 years is not a too long of a period, not as long as Von Miller's 6-year contract, but again, $17 million is not as bad also as Von Miller's 20, but Chandler Jones has definitely been more injury prone, and his play has not been as productive as the Chandler Jones we know from prime to Chandler Jones. So don't hate it, don't love it. More on the hate side though, B minus. All right, Allen Robinson to the Rams, 3 years, $46.5 million. That's $15.5 million per year. Now, if Allen Robinson hit the market last offseason, he got franchise tagged. But if he hit the market, this deal would be a lot more. This would be probably for 3 years for a guy like Allen Robinson, it'd be up near $60 million. Allen Robinson was deemed as a top 10, arguably top 6 or 7 receiver after the 2020 season. And then last season, he just had no production. And, is it on the quarterback? Is it on the coaching? Is it on himself? Either way, it's really hard to deem that, but his production went way down from 2020. I gave this one an A. I like this for the Rams. Again, Sean McVay is so great at this. I think Allen Robinson is going to fit perfectly into this scheme as the wide receiver 2, obviously behind Cooper, Kupp. OBJ was having no production in Cleveland. Sean McVay takes him under his wing and gets him, I believe, 6 touchdowns in like 7 games. He can do the same thing with Allen Robinson, no problem. I'm not worried about Allen Robinson from last year. You give him Matthew Stafford and this offense and this defense, he's going to have chances. I think they really got him at a discounted price coming off of a down year. Only $15.5 million per year. 3 years, so it's not too risky. Give this one an A. I love this. Here's one that I hate as a Cowboys fan. Not Von Miller. I'm thinking Broncos here. Randy Gregory to the Broncos. 5 years, $70 million. That's $14 a year. I gave this one an A as well. Randy Gregory is pretty old. I believe he's 28 or 29. But, oh man, at least one of those years he hasn't been in the league. So when you're talking playing age, he's 26 or 27 because he's had some off-the-field issues. So all of those, years that he's been aging, he hasn't been on the football field. So his body still has a lot left in it. 5 years. It's pretty lengthy. It'll be going into his mid-30s. Obviously, it's voidable. But, I heard the reports that Dallas had signed Randy Gregory, and then I checked my phone 30 minutes later, and it turns out he backed out of that contract and went to Denver. So I hate it as a Cowboys fan, but for the Broncos' sake, I give this one an A. Final free agent signing, Christian Kirk to the Jaguars, 4 years, $72 million. Why in the world are you giving Christian Kirk $18 million a year? That's top 10 money right there. I think he's now 7th or 8th in terms of top paid receivers. Why in the world? What has Christian Kirk done? He doesn't have a single 1,000-yard receiving season, only one season over 750 yards in his career. Why in the world are you giving him $18 million a year? The Jaguars must see some potential that the rest of the NFL world just doesn't see, because my market value for Christian Kirk would probably be 11 to 12 million, maybe 18 million over 4 years. I don't like it at all. I gave this a C. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe in hindsight, Christian Kirk will break out next year with Trevor Lawrence. Christian Kirk will be wide receiver 1 for the first time in his career. He'll have a true chance to break out. Who knows? But right now, in present time, $18 million a year for a guy that's never had 1,000 yards, that's a C, and that's probably being generous. All right, so enough of the free agent signings. There's still a lot of guys left on the board. Tyrann Mathieu, Bobby Wagner. Who knows where they'll go. Deshaun Watson is now a Cleveland Brown. When this broke, I was shocked because a few days ago, reports had come out that Cleveland was notified that they were out of the Deshaun Watson race. So this kind of came as a shock to me. I have mixed opinions about this, and I'm gonna try to stay away from the legal reasons. All you have to know is there's a lot of uncertainties around Deshaun Watson. But there's been a lot of uncertainties around the Cleveland organization forever, so, it kind of does fit. Cleveland realized that they needed to have a top quarterback. This is the most success over the past 4 years with Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's one of the best quarterbacks in Cleveland history. He's the most successful quarterback that the Browns have had in who knows how long. I don't even know. For sure in my lifetime, and it's not even close. But the Browns realized, hey, we've proven over the past 4 years that we can take a leap and we can win a minimum of 7 ball games a year. We can sneak into the playoffs a couple times. We're ready to take that next jump. We're ready to take that next step and become a consistent contender. So we're going to get a top 5 quarterback in some eyes and add Amari Cooper, be really aggressive, and we're ready to deem ourselves contenders. true contenders, Super Bowl contenders, because they weren't going to be that with Baker Mayfield. It's just that simple. His ceiling's too low. It's that simple. I mean, the Browns know they're giving him, nearly $50 million a year. They gave up their entire future. They've mortgaged everything for Deshaun Watson, and they're hoping it pays out. That's simple. A lot of uncertainty around Cleveland. Always has been. This is the most Cleveland move ever. I mean, they know they've been in a dumpster fire forever. They're taking a risk. There's a lot of legal issues that they don't have resolved, and they just gave up 3 draft picks and, $250 million for this dude. So they're hoping this pays out. All right. Davante Adams, this one shocked me even more, is a Las Vegas Raider. He's going to team up with his former college quarterback, Derek Carr, at Fresno State. He's going to the Raiders. And this is a side of this trade that no one has talked about. The Packers front office, this was a genius move by the Packers front office. Davante Adams was a free agent heading into this offseason. The Packers said, you know what? We know that eventually the Raiders are going to push really, really strong for Davante Adams, and eventually we're probably going to have to give him up. So what they did was they franchise tagged him, put him under contract, and shipped him away, and essentially got a free first and second round pick. Because if they would have just said, you know what, Davante Adams, we can't match what the Raiders have to offer, we're just going to let you walk, they would have gotten nothing out of that. But they said, you know what, we're going to franchise tag you, and then we'll give you off to the Raiders. Hey Oakland, or hey Vegas, you can sign Davante Adams to a contract, but you're gonna have to give us a first and a second round for that. We're not gonna let him leave in free agency for nothing. Genius move by Green Bay. They knew they couldn't hold on to him, so they got a free first and second. Now this is gonna be a step back for Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Waiting to see what they do with their receiving core. Do they go Julio Jones? Jarvis Landry? They'll definitely draft somebody, I'm sure. Interesting. We'll see how Rodgers fares without a true wide receiver one. And to conclude this episode, I want to give my super early 2022 NFL Super Bowl predictions. Okay. Out of the NFC, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Look around the NFC. It's the Rams. They've lost Von Miller. They're probably going to lose OBJ, Andrew Whitworth. I just don't see them repeating the NFC crown. I don't. I think Brady is back for blood. It was a super close game last year. I don't see the Rams getting a 27-3 lead on Tampa again. I got Tampa Bay coming out of the NFC. In the AFC, this might shock you, I have the Denver Broncos. You heard it here first. I think early in the season, just like the Rams last year, just like the Buccaneers in 2020, they might look a little shaky. They might not look like a contender. But then once this team assembles and Russell Wilson starts playing his best football late in the year, this team will come down as a true contender. I don't think they win their division, but I think they scrap through some playoff wins and get to the Super Bowl. I have Bucs beating the Broncos in Super Bowl, 57? That's my prediction. Again, this is super early. And it's probably going to change, by the time. My prediction is probably going to change by the time the season starts. I just wanted to get that out there. Super early. Brady's back. I like Tampa out of the NFC. I like Denver out of the AFC. I don't know. It's interesting. A lot of stuff's gone down in free agency. A lot of trades. Thank you guys for listening.